Hi, everybody. It's Bob. I want to thank you for coming back to my channel. Something important has happened, well, actually a few days ago, and there's another story that I wanted to talk about that happened a few days before that. But of course, all of this had to do with Emmanuel Macron. If you know and come to my website, which is Macron is the Antichrist.info, you'll notice that I have a whole separate page that I use for something that I call Macron and the Revived Roman Empire. I made mention of the fact that when Vladimir Zelensky was in the Oval Office with Donald Trump months ago, seems like years ago, um, that, in my opinion, started a new time. I don't know if you would call it a paradigm, but that was the moment, in my opinion, that Emmanuel Macron started reviving the Roman Empire, uh, or as the book of Daniel calls it, revival of the revived Roman Empire. Um, he couched this whole revival as something where he wanted to unite Europe, Western Europe, to help protect Ukraine against Russia and also protect Europe also against Russia. And he used this pretext to, in my opinion, start the revival process of the Western Europe, which, again, as we know, is the revived Roman Empire. Not too many people have caught on to this, but it's something that I think is important. And I've dedicated a whole section of my website to the point that Emmanuel Macron by himself was trying to revive the Roman Empire. And without saying, if you follow my site, you know that Emmanuel Macron is the Antichrist. So here he is, the Antichrist, using the excuse of rebuilding the Roman Empire in Western Europe to help protect Ukraine against Russia. And he started three bullet points that I mentioned on my website, and that was the coalition of the willing, the concentric circles, and the EPC, which stands for the European Political Community. And I showed how on that page how all three of these bullet points are critical to Macron's attempt to revive the Roman Empire, as mentioned in the book of Daniel and I suppose in the book of Revelation. Um, Now, it's important, as I mentioned, that lately there was a story that came out, and I'll post it right here, where Emmanuel Macron has sort of given up the pretense that he is doing what he is doing to protect Ukraine. I've always mentioned that he could care less about Ukraine, and the Antichrist obviously could care less about anyone or anything. Um, but he has given up pretext that he is using this building process in Western Europe to help rebuild, to form a coalition of the willing to use it to protect Ukraine. Uh, he's given up that pretext since he went to the UK a few days ago and he met with the Prime Minister Starmer there. And together they have agreed on two things. One, that the coalition of the willing, if you will, is going to be situated in, of all places, Paris, France. That is going to be the headquarters of the coalition of the willing. And second, which is more important, is that he and Starmer, Macron and Starmer, have decided that they are going to use their nuclear arsenal. Now, France is the only country in Western Europe that has its own nuclear arsenal, whereas Great Britain has nuclear bombs, but they're given to them by the United States. So it's not really theirs. France has their own nuclear bombs, and I suppose they can use it however they want, which is interesting because Emmanuel Macron is in charge of France. So he has his own nuclear arsenal to do with it as he wills. But as I said, they have given up all pretext to use the rebuilding of Europe in defense of Ukraine. Macron, and Starmer have just come out and said that they are going to use their defense, their nuclear arsenals, in defense of Europe, not in defense of Ukraine, so to speak, but they're going to use it in defense of Europe, which, in my opinion, is a phenomenal change. I would even call it a paradigm because this is big. This is the Antichrist coming out and not pretending anymore that they are going to use the defense of Western Europe to solidify uh, their coalition, to use it against Russia. They're not going to do that per se. They're going to use it to build up Western Europe. Now, there's another thing that's important here to remember, and that is that Great Britain is not a member of the EU. So, in order for Macron to have Great Britain and Starmer under some sort of umbrella, not the EU, but this new umbrella that I predict will be the EPC that I had just mentioned, the European Political Community, because this is another baby that Macron has nursed for these last many months. This is an idea not that he has come up with, but an idea that he is nourishing. It is something that he is going to use use this coalition of the willing to form what is something called the concentric circles. Because if you know the EU is made up of, I think, 49 countries, and any one of those 49 countries that wants to vote against something, that one vote will nullify anything that the European Union has decided to do. So Macron is not crazy about that form of government, and he needs a new form of government, a new coalition, if you will. And in my opinion, that's going to be something called the EPC, which will contain the concentric circles, where they'll have an inner circle, an outer circle, and probably an outer circle. And it'll probably be the inner circle, which probably will be 10 nations, if you know the Bible. And these 10 nations will be able to vote probably for whatever Macron wants to accomplish. So again, in my opinion, we're at a turning point here in the West. 2 points. One, that the central coalition of this willing, the central coalition is going to be based in Paris, France, which of course is Macron's headquarters. And they're not going to pretend that it has anything to do with Ukraine. So they're sort of stepping out and saying what the Bible says, that Western Europe, the revived Roman Empire, under the auspices of the Emperor of Rome, which will be Emmanuel Macron, will be slowly reviving this Roman Empire. And of course, after the rapture, it will come into full fruition. But right now we are seeing the beginning of the building, if you will, of this Western Europe revived Roman Empire. I mentioned this before. We're watching this right in front of our faces. We've watched for the last 8 years Emmanuel Macron gaining more and more and more power. Right now, he is one of the most powerful people on the planet. And in my opinion, when Trump is no longer great again with America, and Putin is gone because of Ezekiel 38. Emmanuel Macron will be by his lonesome as the world leader. And of course, he will be the Antichrist, and he will take control over everything. And we're watching it happen right in front of our faces, especially the revived Roman Empire. So keep an eye on all of this. It's something that very few people are watching. I hope to keep everybody informed on what's going on. So if you will, please look at my website. Macron is the Antichrist.info, and there's a whole page that I have dedicated to Macron's effort with the revived Roman Empire. Okay?